You found Rebirth. Thank you for tuning in. I want to talk to you today, obviously, right? Why do we say these things? Instagram, it's popping in microphone. I want to talk to you um about the story that you need to write is your own. And you can you could swap out the word write for live or paint or create. I think I read it was the woman who owns the One Willow Apothecary, Asia, was talking about when you feel anxious, that convergence, that I have to get this done, such feeling that rises up. When you feel that, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, one of the effective gifts you can give yourself is saying, I'm open to the long game or a longer, I believe she said it, I'm available for a long-term success. Do you feel how that just like settles into your back body? I'm available for long-term success, because we, in the scrolling, flipping reality, right? There's always another and another and another and another. Fine. That's what we're living in. But it can make it difficult to settle into mastery. And I almost want to change that language right now, because there's plenty of us that are realizing that there is a way to balance this, and that we do not need to be forced into someone's definition of what it feels good to be inside of ourselves. So it's a coming on the year anniversary of my book. I have so many feelings about it, actually. I have feelings about the process. I have feelings about how I wrote it in one of the most constrictive scheduling moments of my life, where I had very little free time to myself. And so the tension of confined space, confined schedule was one of the pieces that wrote the book. And one of my guiding quotes that I kept returning to, I love Terry Tempest Williams. And one of the quotes I have in the end of the chapter in the PS is, she writes, I believe in the beauty of all things common, and I believe in the beauty of broken things. And then I included a quote, which was almost like a talisman for myself, quite honestly, because it's not a quote that I used to write the book, but it was a quote that needed to be placed in it. And it's Heraclitus saying, the cosmos works by harmony of tensions, like the lyre and the bow. And I put that there knowing it needed to be there, but not really understanding it. And it's a year later, which would be, gosh, at least 2 to 3 years after the writing, right? And I understand that tension. I understand that the first book that I wrote was the book that needed to be written then. Did you know that I would have never have, I picked the cover. I never would have picked this cover. I had the idea of black and white, or something with a little bit of turquoise, because that's the color I use for a lot of my work. And what came back was this color of like the sunrise shell, and this idea of a new horizon and a rebirth that I picked the geometric symbol on it. And I was still like, are you kidding me that my first book is this like holographic geometric sunrise? But it was a message from my future self. I'm going to say this to you, from the piece of myself that understood the tension that was birthing me by writing this very book at this very time in that very way. and what would bloom from it. Now, here's another thing about my podcasts is that I have ideas, and then I also I tell all my guests this, I have an idea, but then I also open up this organic space so that it kind of is this attention, right? Just like the quote, that attention creates it. Where's the quote? The cosmos works by a harmony of tension. So I create a confinement. I could create a container by having an intention. And then I let what wants to come through, come through. So before I decided on everything that I've already said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I was like, oh, I should read from the book. And I'm like, let me just do a little oracle pop open. And if you have the book, this is from page 66. And I popped open my own book, which I don't actually do very often, and landed on this for both of us, for all of us. This book is full of stories that debunk the heavily rotated myth that the likelihood of your failing is higher than the actuality that life is waiting for you to fly. This book is full of stories to debunk the heavily rotated myth that the likelihood of your failing is higher than the actuality that life is waiting for you to fly. Taking in stories of faith and positivity feed our own optimism and attune your mindset, aligning you with the frequency of that which you are looking to create while helping to buoy your flow state of faith. And it's from the chapter with David Newman. And he says, one thing about yogic spaces is that it can hold you really tightly, like yoga on main held many, and it can simultaneously teach you not to be attached. Absolutely, David Newman agrees. My favorite yoga story was by a teacher, Krishnamurti. Someone asked him once, do you practice yoga? And his answer was, yes, but I try not to make a habit out of it. The cosmos works by harmony of tensions, like the lyre and the bow, stira and sukham. Tension, relaxation, intention, freeform, both. This episode will come out next week, but I'm talking to you on the new moon, and it for me, this new moon really just it was like a hand scooping at the bottom of the ocean of excavation of here. This is what you do not need, but you have to see it. You have to acknowledge it so that you can release it. And I this inversion of phrasing, I would normally say, oh, it needs to be it's being revealed to be healed. But what I kept hearing is it's being healed to be revealed. We are healing this so you may see the impediment. We are healing this so you may see the impediment. And the we would be, well, you can, what is your context of the voice that talks and the voice that witnesses in your brain? They're two different ones, right? The very quiet one and the one that's always saying what cannot happen. So I have this tension of knowing that the rebirth that I wrote about, that I didn't really believe. And I've talked to other authors that have the same experience, and I believe this is true of any creative process, is that the witnessing voice, or the thing that is more permanent, or the thing that is more whole, the thing brings forth something that critic voice doesn't really believe. You have the right to, you're good enough, blah, blah, all that. So it's like, I'm writing a book. I wrote a book that I was writing to myself, that I wasn't in integrity, and I was believing everything I was saying, but I was in a dissolution process and in a tightly formed tension phase of my life. And I recently said to a one-on-one client about how it's not that we do things right or wrong. I kept thinking things were right or wrong. It's that we live through them, we embody them, and we transform them. For those that have been raised with this very tight idea of right and wrong, that just the fact that you can embody in the best version of growth becomes a transformation. For those that don't have any confinement, then right or wrong becomes a necessary tensions to investigate. So my invitation is that of write the book that you need to write now, because you can't write the next book until you write that one. Write the sentence you need to write now, because you can't write the next chapter until you finish the first one. Do the thing that you need to do now, even while you're keeping that vision on the horizon of what you're moving towards. This book I wrote is full of stories that debunk the heavily rotated myth that the likelihood of your failing is higher than the actuality that life is waiting for you to fly. The next page. I recently read about the mystic Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote, "Your word is your wand." And in both texts, she talks about the most powerful two words being I am, and what we place after that, and that how we speak, we create, that death and life are in the power of the tongue. It is perplexing that we don't learn more of the power of our thoughts and words in school. Why are we taught anatomy but not neurology? I mean, we heard about sticks and stones, but it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s, this is me, Kate, speaking, after my master's degree, that I began to hear about the power of persuasion and focused thought being bolstered by the vibration of how I talk to others, and most importantly, how I talk to myself. So when I say write the book that you need to write, don't disparage the thing that you are being called to create. You may not actually know how it fits into the full piece of the collective, but into you, into your tapestry, into your building block. Hold it and give it the right to life that it deserves, because it is an inspiration that is whispering to you. That is the proof that it is needed. Your alchemy of creating, of cooking, of the perfect scone, of the well-placed thread, of the slap shot, if you're a hockey person, of the base hit, of the smile. We have access to a global world, which is helpful, but not if it creates this thought that what we can do now here with these hands is not good enough. I'm telling you right now, it is not only good enough, it is what we desperately need. We need you. Write the story you need to write, whether that is with words or thoughts or dances or stitches or cumin and coriander. Protect your heart. Protect those inspirations. Hold them closer to your chest, perhaps. Maybe don't scatter them into the wind if you're in places that negativity will sweep away what is looking for safe shelter to take root and bloom. Write the story you're here to create. Trust the process and know that life is actually waiting for you to fly. Let us know how it goes. I hope these words help you today. I hope you share them with someone else. And thank you so much for being here on Rebirth.